Akron, Ohio at PolymerCityRecords.com. It is time for 10 Cent Beer Night, the sports show at Polymer City Records. Every Wednesday, 7:30 to 9:30 Eastern Time. I'm Bob Fritz, and that's Seth Lepaki.
No, you're Seth Lepaki, and I'm Bob Fritz.
Testing you, making sure he was awake. Hey, real quick before we get on the show, last week we announced that we were going to have a special guest from the Cannon Charge come in and talk a little bit about the Charge and whatnot. Because of the rising in cases, we had to reschedule. It's just policy with the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Cannon Charge, but we will have Austin here another time. We just want to make that clear that we promoted it last week that we were going to have somebody, and unfortunately he could not join us for good reason, but we'll have him again very soon, especially closer to basketball time. Real quick, Bob, before we talk things about MAC football that kicked off tonight, and we're looking very forward to it, let's talk a little baseball. Your baseball, Bob. We do have some baseball things to talk about. Let's talk about the awards that were given last night. We had two Cleveland Indians win Golden Gloves.
Golden Gloves with Roberto Perez, catcher, and Cesar Hernandez,
The second baseman there.
They both won Golden Gloves. Now, I know Roberto Perez that the Indians did pick up his option.
So he'll be back next year.
Now, Hernandez is a free agent.
Yeah, and
that's I don't know. I looked at the transactions today, and I didn't really see anything, anything happening or going on right now. So
no, it's going to be a little. So that is somebody I'm hoping they will resign, but we don't know.
Now they got till November the 11th.
They do.
Yeah, to either exercise an option, re-sign them, or they go full free agency. So they got till November 11th. So they got a little over a week from today.
They do got some time. Indians fans on their seat with this offseason. Last week, Brad Hand, Carlos Santana, Domingo Santana's options were declined, and rumor on the street is neither of them are probably going to come back. I mean, Santana, there's a shot, but I also see a scenario where
well, of the three, I'd rather have Santana back.
Yeah.
Of the three, I'd like to have all three of them back. So.
Right.
Especially Hand. I mean, Hand's was a decent closer.
He's in for relief person, the Mariano Rivera Award, American League Relief Player of the Year. That's what they call the Mariano Rivera Award there, rightfully so. Hand, he might be on the decline, but maybe for the right price they bring him back. I understand. Like, I'm just disappointed how it ended with him. You know what I mean? That the team comes back and he blows it in the playoffs the way he did. I'm not asking anybody to be perfect, but it was a whole other thing, so I'm on the fence. With Carlos, I should say, Domingo, he was even optioned out to camp at a time. They didn't really pick him up. There's something there. I don't think we're going to see him back. But Carlos, it's up in the air because it's going to depend what he wants. Now, he loves Cleveland. He's a great guy to have in the locker room.
Well, he loves Cleveland. I mean, he was glad to come back after he left for that 1 year.
And he's a headache for pitchers. He gets walks all the time. The issue is he did not really show up at the plate this year. Glove is one thing. Let's for the fans.
I think you can say that about a lot of the guys on the team that didn't show up this year.
For a short season and whatnot. But if let's hypothetically, for the fans' sake, let's say Carlos is not back, we're probably looking at Josh Naylor or Nolan Jones stepping in at first base. Whichever.
I like Naylor.
Yeah,
I like Naylor
and
a lot.
the thing is, if we're not going to get Carlos back, I like Naylor at first better than Nolan Jones. And some people might not recognize the name of Nolan Jones, but he's a prospect of the Indians, good pop on his bat, a lefty hitter, and they think he's ready for next year. However, he's a third baseman. They've already said they're committing to Jose long term, so they're trying out in the fall league Nolan at first base and left field. Josh does not have a lot of speed, so I would like to see maybe if they're trying that Nolan in left field, and then Josh at first base. If we're not going to have Carlos, that's what I would personally like to see. But I do think do not be surprised if the Tribe gets a little younger going next year. But I would like to see them $7-8 million, whatever they can pull out to bring Cesar Hernandez back at least for 1 year.
I would love to see Hernandez back.
They got to.
I'm hoping they can bring him back.
Yeah, he was a great player, led the league in doubles. He was very clutch at the plate. Again, great fielder.
Got some speed.
Is this our first second base Golden Glover since Roberto Alomar? I think it is.
I think Roberto Alomar was the last second baseman for the Indians that ever got a Gold Glove.
Exactly. And where Perez he's the first back-to-back Golden Glover since Grady Sizemore in 07 and 08. for the Indians, doing a heck of a job. And he missed a lot of time too, and he still won the Golden Glove. That says a lot there. So congratulations to those guys. The other winners there,
You got first base was Evan. This is the American League.
the
now.
American League, yeah.
Evan White of Seattle, J.P. Crawford of Seattle at shortstop, and that's kind of surprised me a little bit there.
Really,
So, yeah, it really did. Isaac Kiner, God, I can't think.
he's a newer guy.
Newer guy from Texas. Alex Gordon, Kansas City, a good left fielder.
I think he's retired now too.
Did he retire? I haven't seen that.
Who am I thinking of? Is it Alex Gordon? I think Alex Gordon just retired.
No.
I'll look it up for you while you're.
Yes. Center fielder Lewis Roberts of the Chicago White Sox. Right fielder Joey Gallo of Texas. Of course, Roberto Perez. Whoa, tongue tied a little bit. Cleveland. And the pitcher was Griff Canning from the Los Angeles Angels. Now we go with the National League. First base was Anthony Rizzo of the Chicago Cubs. Second base is Wong of St. Louis. Shortstop was
Javier Baez, yeah.
of Chicago Cubs. Third base, Nolan
Arenado.
Thank you.
Yep.
Colorado. Tyler O'Neill, left field for St. Louis. Trent Grissom of San Diego in right field. Mookie Betts.
Rightfully so,
of
of the Dodgers.
Yeah, good choice there. Of the world champion L.A. Dodgers. Catcher was Tucker Barnhart of the Cincinnati Reds.
Yep, there you go.
And Max Fried was the pitcher of the Atlanta Braves.
There you
Those
go.
are award winners that were announced on Monday. Also, the finalists, we'll talk about this in a little bit. Finalists for the major awards, the MVP, the Rookie of the Year, the Manager of the Year. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But,
There you go. Oh, by the way, Alex Gordon did retire.
Did retire?
He retired at
So-
season's end. They're
retired.
talking about retiring his number in the future and all that kind of stuff.
Great ball player.
Right.
And,
Big factor in their back-to-back trips to the World Series. If you can remember, they lost the first one, then won the second one against the Mets probably 7 years ago or so. But there was a little time there. The Royals were really good, and because of players like Gordon. Cora might be going back to the Red Sox. We were just learning there.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see if the Indians can retain their second baseman. Of course, the catcher's already said up. They picked up his option. The other thing too, looking at Indians' cuts and losses, going into the season, Millsy. He is not going. Bo Mills.
He's not coming back.
He's not coming back. I think he's going to retire. I don't know.
No, he set out the season because of the virus.
Yeah.
And he did make a decision. I'm not coming back. And Mills was a great coach there for the Indians.
He was. He managed the Astros for a little bit. He was in Boston with Francona as well. He will be missed. He had a great relationship with the players. Everything I heard about this guy was good. So I guess I'm just assuming, does Sandy Alomar Jr. get bumped up to bench coach now? I think it's only fitting after.
It's only fitting after he managed most of the short season. Did a great job.
There you go.
And I'm really surprised that he didn't get any looks at any management jobs.
I kind of not because.
I know something never happened to Terry, which I hope it never happens. Something never happens to him. He would be the first in line for that job. I just hope Francona gets well and is back next year. And
they already have.
I can see Alomar as the bench coach.
Yeah,
I can see it.
And I went. The reason I wasn't surprised is I think there's something in place. We know Terry's got only a couple more seasons of him, if that. I think word around the league is Sandy's going to be the manager afterwards. They have their heart set on it. They've already put it in pencil somewhere. I can't prove it, but it's just a hunch. I know the Tigers were supposedly looking at him. They went with Brad Osman instead. Not Osman, excuse me. AJ Hinch, a former Indians catcher. I was thinking the wrong catcher.
Yeah.
No, Osman. They had Osman for a little bit, and it didn't pan out.
Yeah, AJ Hinch, and of course
Tony La Russa,
who had many great seasons in St. Louis.
One of the best.
One of the best managers going to the White Sox.
So yeah, we'll see what happens. I do think those two are going to really give a lot of competition for the Indians. I know they don't play on the field, but you got two very smart, proven managers there, and you work with some younger, great teams. The Tigers, it'll be a couple years, but they got some great guys coming out through the farm system. White Sox could hurt you now, right now.
Well, yeah,
you know,
I mean, that whole division got better.
It did.
That whole division, even Kansas City, and they're young.
They got
Kansas
some
City's
good young starting pitching.
Young. They're a young team, and I'm telling you what, the Central Division of the American League could be the best in baseball right now.
So here's a question I have for you, but just a hypothetical question. Okay, obviously teams lost millions and millions of dollars. Doesn't stop a lot of the teams that have a lot of money. Of course, the rumor coming out that you brought to my attention was Dodgers are already offering Trevor Bauer over $100 million.
Well, that's the rumor.
That's the rumor, yeah. But still, somebody can offer that.
Trevor turned down. Trevor made $17.8 million this past season. The Reds got the option. They offered him $18.8 million for this year. He did turn that down. He wants to see the offers out there. The $128 million that the Dodgers is offering, he hasn't said yes or no that he's thinking about it. Trevor wants 1-year deals. You know, he's always wanted a 1-year deal. I think he always wanted that 1-year deal to see if it's going to make him more money the next year.
Right.
You know, but of course, $128 million.
Right.
I don't know if I'd be thinking. I mean, that $128 million is what?
But
$30 million a year.
I know. I have mixed feelings about it. And again, it's Bauer's choice. It's his career. We know he's healthy. We know he's up for Cy Young in the National League. It might not be a bad investment for the T's. And let me explain. Okay, it might be short term, but you know, if there's a falling out somewhere, like his production dips or something, you're not paying him $30 million the next year. He walks at that point.
Well, he's
but
guaranteed that with $128 million. You know.
Yeah, and if I'm Bauer, okay, and I'm trying to sell this idea to the team, I'll say, look, I work harder every year so I can get more money out of you. You know, you sign me for 18 this year, maybe it's 20 next year, depending what because a lot of those players, like Anthony Rendon, for example, they signed the big contract and some of their talent dips, and he did not show up. However, at the same time, Kershaw $300-some million, Mookie Betts $300-some million, big factors in them winning the World Series. It's going to be wait see thing. But what I want to ask you is, hypothetically, all right, Indians, they don't have a ton of money to play with.
Right.
They got some, they don't got a ton. Do you go a little younger this year, maybe even next year, just to get... And again, you're still going to be competitive because your pitching's great. It is. Maybe touch with that bullpen a little bit, but you got one of the best rotations in the league already. And I'm looking at names like Nolan Jones. Okay, we brought him up. Daniel Johnson. You know, I want to see them... I would like to see guys like Carlos Santana, Cesar Hernandez back. Lindor still be with us until they decide what they want to do with him. But at the same time, we got these players that are already playing. I'm like, Delino DeShields didn't show me much. Tyler Naquin didn't show me much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see the Indians going with the younger group. We got the best minor league in baseball.
Right. And maybe...
I mean, yes, they didn't play this year because of the virus.
Right.
But prospect-wise, we got a lot of prospects in our system that other teams would love to trade for.
Oh, exactly.
That want. Use them. Bring them up. Bring them up. We got a lot of talent here. And who's the shortstop we got from San Diego?
Arias. Yeah.
I mean, there's another kid there. Something ever goes down, Linder ever goes down, we got probably one of the best prospect shortstops in all of baseball in our minor league system.
Exactly. And then you got Tyler Freeman that can play shorter second. And I'm bringing him up because I want to see Hernandez for one more year and Lindor at least with us for at least a trade deadline. More would be nice, but we'll see. Because those guys are going to need another year because there's no minor league baseball this year, and that hurt them. But yeah, I could see Freeman in the play. Right now we have Roberto Perez, and then the backup that we got in the Padres deal. He's slipping my mind right now. Or Hedges. Yes, good, great.
I was getting ready to say that.
Yeah, and I don't think we'll see Leon back, but I think we have Hedges now, so that's good. But I bring it up because Josh Naylor's brother, Bo Naylor, supposed to be a great hitting catcher, and he's supposed to be up in the next couple of years too. So he will be in the future. They want to commit to Jose at third. So I want to explain to people at home watching. I'm not talking about the Indians full rebuild like we saw in the mid 2000s or whatnot like that. Chris Antonetti's got this team set up where they are consistently competitive, and they're just going to ready to bring up the next thing that's going to fill that roster spot and be still relevant and competitive with the other teams and everything. That's how this is going to work. This isn't going to be a 3-5 year old deal or anything. This is going to be 1, maybe 2 years, but we're still going to be in playoff talk with it too because our pitching's too good.
And at least the next couple years.
Exactly.
At least.
I think the only thing that disappointed me, and I don't know the guy personally, but when the hitting coach announced he was coming back, I was like, they didn't hit well last year. He left mid-season because of course, and he's allowed. But I was just like, could we have paid a little extra? And I know they don't have a ton of money to play with, but could we have got Travis Hafner?
And Hafner did a great job in our farm system.
Oh, he did a fantastic. I watched him personally help out the Akron team a couple years ago, and they had a big team turnaround when he was done with them.
Yeah, he is the club's minor league hitting instructor. He goes to all the minor league teams, working with every hitter in the minor leagues.
Right.
I don't see why he's not up in Cleveland. Another one is I'd like to see Tomey brought up and give him a shot as a hitting coach.
I would love it, but he's got a good situation with the White Sox.
But you know what? I think if offered, I think Tomey would do it. I think he'd come back to Cleveland. I mean, he's got a great job in Chicago, and he's from that area. Right. I understand that.
I mean, and I would take that in a heartbeat. Don't get me wrong. But am I wrong to suspect we should upgrade hitting coach?
Yeah, because we need to. We need. You showed that in this short season league that the hitters they just never came alive.
Right.
I mean, we had a spurt here, a spurt there, but they just never came alive.
Right.
And there was some problems with our hitting. Right. I mean, we was last in team batting average of the 15 teams that's in the American League. We was last. You know, pitching we was number 1. Yeah. Hitting we were last.
With the exception of Jose Ramirez, of course.
Well, Jose was the only bright spot we had. Even Carlos. Now Carlos got his walks, but he's still, I think, batted 197 or something.
Reyes
like that.
Fell a little bit, but he was doing really well there for a while. But here's my question now too, with what we brought up, Jose Ramirez and all that. Of course, he's a finalist for MVP. Okay. This is the 3rd time he's finalist for MVP. Why aren't we talking about him in the money? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying just go out and give him $300 million, but they keep talking about Lindor. But Jose's the one with 3-5.
Yeah, but luckily though, we still got Jose tied up for another couple years.
Yeah, okay. They play that.
We only got Lindor
next year.
This is 2021 is his last year in Cleveland, unless we can come up with the money and he's already saying he's not going to start. He's not talking right now about upping the contract or giving a couple more years on the contract. He's already said he wasn't going to do that. He's going to let it play out, see what happens come next season. We ain't going to be able to afford him.
No.
So unless some major thing breaks that we unload the farm down below, we ain't going to be able to afford Lindor. And I don't want to see him go.
I don't want to see him go either.
I don't want to see him go either, but we got to be,
we got to be realistic about it. We got to be realistic
on the idea that we can't afford, we ain't going to afford. I mean, you're going to have teams like the Yankees going to offer him $300 million like they're doing these other guys.
Right. A couple other teams right now, if somebody like the Dodgers does sign Bauer, I have a hard time them finding the money for Lindor like that, unless they got money somewhere I don't know. You got the Yankees there again, but here's the other thing: is there's some dark horse teams too, because he likes playing in warm weather. And he lives in Florida. He likes Miami, and Jeter does own the majority of that team. That's his idol.
And the Marlins got money now.
Yeah, they do now.
They have money now. See, it used to be they had an owner. He went out. He bought a World Series. He got his World Series ring, '97.
Yep.
He got his World Series ring.
And 3 too. One
I'm talking about
04,
I know the one.
Yeah.
Then he sold the team. It was a millionaire that played with money. I'm gonna get me a World Series ring. I don't care how I do it. He bought this team. He paid millions of dollars for these players. Then he sold them off. Got rid of everybody. Sold the team to a guy that didn't have that kind of money. And then of course they had some down years, but
then they won it again down the road. Yeah. But interesting story there with Miami. So I'm just saying that's an option. I still think we have we have a few months left in the season here. I think my last hypothetical off-season question I want to ask you now, and I pretty much know the answer, but I'm going to ask anyway. Corey Kluber got cut too.
Yeah.
Do they play with the idea for bringing him in cheap and see does he have anything left in him? One last shot. Because they have options with Tristan McKenzie, who's a great player, but I like him a lot.
Personally, I don't see you're going to see it.
I don't think so
I
either.
I don't think you're going to see it. If they do, they'll offer him a little minor league contract. Let him come into spring training and see what he's got. I think there's something there. I think he's hurt.
I think he's
personally,
hurt too,
I think
yeah.
he's hurt. And because why would you cut a guy that's a 2-time Cy Young Award winner? He won twice, didn't he?
Yeah, he won twice.
And he cut a guy, and I don't know. I don't unless it's a real low minor league deal, hoping to make the team. I don't see the Indians trying.
And it's very sad.
And I'd love to see. I mean, don't get me wrong. I loved Corey Kluber.
Yeah,
I loved.
I'm just saying, if anybody gives him a chance, why not us? You know what I mean? But again, you look at that rotation, and it is very good. It is. Set
I mean, he would definitely go to the bullpen.
Yeah,
because our rotation.
Closer. He could be our new closer. We could have Klubot the closer.
He wasn't the velocity pitcher.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't. With your closers, normally your velocity guys, your Chapmans, and they come in and throw 100 miles an hour, 98, 97. He never really. He was maybe
some of that movement to those sliders. And
he was a 93, 94 mile an hour fastball guy, and. I could see him as a reliever coming in for a batter or two. Of course, if we can pass that rule again, where we don't have that pitcher's got to come in and pitch to 3 hitters, and that's all going to be brought up at the winter meetings about the designated hitter in the National League and the extra running after for the extra inning game.
Right.
Used to be they're thinking about doing that, but it's going to be after the 12th inning. That's one of the things they're going to vote on at the winter meetings come in January. So we'll have to wait and see what the owners want to vote on of that. And of course, I think the DH is about the only one that's going to pass. I think the National League.
The pitchers thing too, I think is going to pass too.
Yeah, I think
that's me personally.
But the National League, I think, is going to go with the DH rule. Let the DH in the National League. I think that's going to be the Players Union Association. I think they're going to go for that. They love that. That gives a guy that's 35, 40 years old that another chance to stay in baseball by just being a hitter. Because National League don't have that ruling, so they don't get there's not a lot of older guys sitting on the bench.
Right.
And, we'll have to wait and see. Like January, the winter meetings, that stuff's all going to come out, and we'll see what happens.
A lot to look forward to in baseball there, and we like talking to you about baseball, Bob. And again, there's a lot going on. For the Indians, there might not be much, but I do promise you they will be competing next year for sure. I'm trying to pull up my scores here.
With the minor league system they have, I'm telling you, they're going to compete for a long time. Unless, like I said, they're going to sell everybody out of that minor league to make money to keep Lindor.
Right.
But we got the number one pitching prospects. Besides what we got pitching in the majors, we got the 3 number one pitching prospects in all of baseball in the minors.
Right.
So we're loaded as pitchers.
Right.
And there's a lot of people want those guys.
Well, they can't have them.
Yeah, well,
it's going to keep us in.
That's what I'm saying. Unless the money talks,
right.
There's going to be possibility. I don't know. We got the number. I think we rated number 3 in all of minor league system as our system. I'm trying to remember who they were, but it was number 3 last time I looked of all minor league baseball. I mean, 4 years ago, the minor league, the Arrows won a championship. Mahoning Valley won their championship. The Columbus Clippers won theirs. They're all won it the same year. That's all our minor league.
Clippers won it back to back a couple times. Yeah,
It was 1 year, and I can't remember. I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, that every one of our team except for Billington, and they finished second. They lost the championship game. All 5 of our minor league teams won their championship. And 6-1 finished second, lost in the championship game. So, we got the best. We got the best minor league.
We do, and they were supposed to be good this year. A lot of those teams were.
And of course, the virus killed it. I mean,
exactly. But we'll see. I mean, there's a ton of young talent that's getting ready in Cleveland. Like I mentioned, Nolan Jones, Daniel Johnson, another guy that we don't talk about much. He was supposed to be in Akron this year. Will Benson, the power hitting outfielder they have, a lot of great pop in his bat. He didn't hit for average a lot, but that could change. With any training. Like he hasn't been invited to spring training yet and all that. You got again Tyler Freeman, Arraez. I can't think of his first name, but the guy that's the shortstop that they got out of the Clevenger deal there. They got another utility infielder in that deal. I mean, there's a lot of great talent, but they need to play them. One of the few issues they've had with Terry Francona over the years is they'll go get a veteran like Mike Freeman, Ryan Rayburn, somebody there just for depth, and Francona will continue to play those guys over some younger guys, and they don't want to because it's Terry Francona. You don't want to argue with Terry Francona. Tell him he doesn't know what he's doing.
He's a Hall of Fame man.
Right, exactly.
He'll be in the Hall of Fame.
Exactly. But you want to see those guys, the younger guys, play so that they can develop and become better. But if they're not playing, then they're not getting better. And there's always that discussion. So I'm not trying to say Francona doesn't know what he's doing, but some of these guys need to play. And they need to just cut ties with some players that are just not going to fit long term. I would say definitely Mercado and Zimmer second chance at center field there. It was a short season; they didn't get a chance, and I think that they can contribute something.
I think
there.
Mercado is a better ball player than what he showed this
yeah,
season.
Yeah,
he's a hell of a lot better than what he showed this season. And it was just a weird year.
It was
a weird year, and
they still won and went to the playoffs. And there's a lot of good you can take from it, but. Let's move on. We do have a celebration of some sort this tonight. MAC football is back.
Go back, go Zips!
Go Zips! Here's your MAC updates real quick because everybody's playing tonight. Okay, in the third quarter, about 10:29 in, Kent State is winning in Kent against Eastern Michigan 9-20. Kent State won their first bowl game last year, so they're on pace to try to continue that success there. Starting the third quarter, going off of halftime, Western Michigan 30, Akron 13, and Akron didn't win a game last year. Their coach is still looking for his first victory there. In Northern Illinois, Buffalo 14 and Northern Illinois 3, and that's in the second quarter there. In the second quarter in Central Michigan, Ohio 13, Central Michigan 14. Kicking off the second quarter in Miami, Ohio, 7-0 Ball State. And then later tonight, Bowling Green will play Toledo. Toledo is the team I'm going to circle as watch out for in this conference because they got a lot of great young talent. They usually always get some explosive athletes in there, Kareem Hunt being one of them years ago. But that's just an example of many. Toledo's a very well-coached program there in the MAC.
Now, they got, in the preseason poll, they got the most first place votes to win the MAC.
Did they?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
But the total numbers went to Central Michigan. They had more second, thirds, and they think there was two points out of the first place.
There's
votes.
some players over that they like in Central Michigan a lot. Some of these analysts were saying.
I was looking at that today because the MAC started, and they're playing on Wednesday night. Every school's playing. It's a 6-game schedule. They are going to have a MAC championship game. Let's, but normally me and Seth would be at the game right now.
Yeah,
okay?
normally.
Because we're season ticket holders. And the sad thing about it, I just hear you say that the Akron is losing their home opener.
Yeah.
Of course, Akron total home openers are 59, and I just had that here. 50. I have it down here. They're 59, 55, and 5 in their home openers in their history. So, where are you at here? It's in there somewhere. But I'm pretty sure it's 59, 55, and...
This is the first time in years they've had, if a conference start, though, too.
Yeah, this is...
Because usually they play Morgan State or somebody random.
Like
somebody they can beat up on. Or they play a big team like they're supposed to play Clemson this year just to make the money and then just leave.
Akron does have 57 Letterman back.
That's good.
Including 10 starters to their pro-style offense and multiple defensive scheme. Akron has 56 student athletes on its roster that's from the state of Ohio.
That's good.
And of the state of Ohio, 32 of those kids live within a 30-mile radius of the campus
So
itself.
that's Akron full
So
grown.
Akron is out there. They recruit the local kids, and I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
You want somebody that can make adjustments to the weather, someone that knows the area, somebody that's going to take pride in playing for the school. Not that people outside the state of Ohio do, but it's just you set yourself up for a unique situation. Look at what Jim Trussell. I mean, of course, Trussell got the top guys in Ohio, but he was local only too. So they're not getting the top, but they're getting some quality talent there. That in the MAC's full of players that want to prove themselves. They're always the little man or the odd man out, so they go out there, bust their ass, and put on a show. Like that.
At one time, and it might still is. Akron, the MAC was a cradle for quarterbacks. Ben Roethlisberger came from Miami of Ohio. Charlie Fry played in
Byron Leftwich.
A lot of great quarterbacks came out of Akron, the Mid-American Conference.
Yeah.
And it's always got decent quarterbacks. And you got this kid from Kent State, Grum. I think his name's Grum. Dennis Grum. I got it here. Dustin Grum.
Dustin Grum.
Last year alone, he's a senior this year, completed nearly 70% of his passes, had a 20.2 touchdown to interception ratio. He was named MVP of the Vesco Bowl, what it was, where he threw for over 400 yards passing.
He had a great game.
Great game. So this is a kid to watch, and I know that Mid-American has him on the Mid-American Conference website, has him as the player to watch in the MAC this year.
All right.
There's another quarterback.
There you go. Yeah,
So-
they don't get a ton of quarterback action like they used to, the MAC. A lot of offensive line. I know Bill Belichick loves recruiting Kent State offensive line for the Patriots.
And here-
Eric Fisher, the first overall pick for the Chiefs years ago. When their rebuilding first started, the first MAC player to ever be taken number 1 overall, and he's still on that offensive line. So he made a Super Bowl offensive line there. He played for Central Michigan, I believe it was. And then you have all the linebacker crew. Brown that plays for the Chargers. He may have left. He may have went to the Giants. He was 6th round pick. He played for Akron, and then Khalil Mack from Buffalo, one of the best linebackers in the game. So there is some quality that comes out of the MAC for sure.
I mean, the MAC's a very good conference within itself.
Right.
Yes, they go out there. They're not afraid to play the big boys. And I remember a couple years ago, we played Michigan, almost beat them. It was the last play. Michigan beat us on the last play of the game. And then 4 or 5 years ago, we played Ohio State at the Shoe, and we lost 20-12. So Akron always seems like they get up for these big course. Last year we didn't play Nebraska. We were supposed to play Nebraska. They had the storm out there, and
We were supposed to play Clemson, and I think they're supposed to.
Clemson was it this year or last year?
This year, I think that
Yeah, we're supposed to go to Clemson this year.
because of the Ohio State next year or something. Yeah,
They've got Ohio State next year.
there you go.
But Akron always seems like it. They pick it up when they play in those big boys. Yeah, they might get beat.
But they beat Northwestern.
They beat
That was a
Northwestern
big
couple
one.
years.
That was a
Big
big
Ten school.
country. That was a big school.
And we
in there.
did we beat Indiana a couple years ago? I think we beat Indiana a couple years ago.
Maybe I read they played them, but I thought it was close. Like it, I know they put up fights against Iowa State. They lost those games, but it was close.
I think we did beat Indiana about 4 or 5 years ago.
But the first things first, going to this year, Akron's got to at least win a game for their coach there. Last year was rough. It was going to be. They knew that going in. New coach, different players, different system. Again, you're talking about multiple defense. Yeah, he goes from 4-3, 3-4, whatever the matchup base is, which is, for the MAC, pretty unique and interesting. And
Tom Hart.
Yeah.
Hart, yeah. He's an old graduated from John Carroll, and played for John Carroll in 2003. And then, of course, he ended up coaching. He was down in Alabama something. One of the Alabama schools down there. He was coached there before he came to Akron. He's got a combined
I
record.
thought it was Tennessee, maybe.
No?
Like it was a branch college. I
Yeah,
can't remember.
yeah,
I'm going by
I
memory
have to
here.
look it up. Of course, this is eighth season. He's 49-33 overall. Of course, last year 0-12 with Akron.
Right.
Got to take into consideration he had a lot of the recruits were under Bowden.
Right.
That came from Bowden. I mean, this year is probably really his first recruiting class, so
Exactly.
we'll have to see what happens.
What I like to compare him to in a weird way is the Kent State coach, because this is a young guy that came in.
Now, Kent State
bringing
was
new
his first coaching job.
Was it really?
It's his first coaching job.
I didn't know that.
He was 7-6 last year. He's 9-16 overall. This is his third year at Kent.
Oh, you're talking about the Kent State coach.
Kent coach,
Yeah,
yeah.
no. Well, I bring up because they were looking
Sean
for
Lewis.
Shaw, yeah, they got Lewis because they're looking for a young coach that could bring in a new system and bring consistency and winning in there. Of course, if you remember, years ago, Kent State had a coach similar, defensive minded, took him to the bowl game. Purdue came and snatched him up. Lewis, wide receiver coach out of Syracuse. They've had coaches in the MAC that came from Syracuse, didn't really do much. This guy has. 1 year, he won, I think, his first year he won one game. Then the next year, he took him to the bowl game. So what I'm trying to tell Akron fans is they can turn around quick as long as they got the right guys. The thing we can tell is these Akron players love Coach Art a lot.
His first year, he was 2-10. Then last year, he went 7-6.
Okay, so he won 2 games. Yeah.
2-10.
But I'm saying, like, they're bringing in these younger, great minds here. We've seen it before when Bowling Green brought in Urban Meyer. When I think it was Bowling Green also that brought in Kelly from Notre Dame. So you bring in some of those potential great coaches there that can help change your system. And okay, some of them might get snatched up by a bigger school, but now you've gained the reputation. You know what to look for in a coach that can find you success, and that's what we're hoping with Akron here. It's going to take a bit, but I'm pulling for a few wins at least this year for the coach's sake. But tonight it's going to be a tough one. Western Michigan, another great program. They lost their coach to Minnesota, and he went there.
Well, I know the history of Western Michigan and Akron. Western Michigan got lead the series 42-10.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Now in basketball, it's a different story, but that's
that's a different sport. But I can't wait till we start talking about that because they're gonna be starting up here on the 24th of November.
Yeah, I'm getting ready. I know there's limited tickets, but I'm ready for some Akron basketball there. We got to flash some shade to our bigger guys this past week at Ohio State. Beat Penn State 38-25. It was not a matchup after a while, but it was kind of close. But I'm going to be honest, I thought Nebraska the week before had a bigger fight. I know the scores were closer for Ohio State, Penn State, but there was a tie where you just knew Ohio State had it in the bag, maybe around the same time. But I don't know. Nebraska seemed to play them more aggressively than I thought Penn State would have.
I will say one thing about that game that I did miss.
What?
The whiteout.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because you go to Ohio State Penn State game when it's in College Station, or what do they call it? College Park, or whatever they call it. They all wear white. They call it the whiteout.
The whiteout.
Every time they play Ohio State, usually the whole stadium is filled with. You just see white shirts.
It just looks nice. Yeah, it's just it's just a good look there. But they lost. Penn State season's technically over in a way. They're not going to be back in the playoff hunt. So they're just going to keep playing on. They play Rutgers this week, November 7th.
In the playoff on the Big Ten, I feel Ohio State's the only one that's going to be in the hunt. Michigan State's playing good now.
Yeah, Indiana's playing good too.
But I just think Ohio State will be
going to be the number one. Yeah,
represents the Big Ten.
Yeah, you're not going to see two Big Ten. You might never see two Big Ten ones in there, and that's
the same way with basketball with the MAC.
A couple of years ago, Penn State probably should have been in it with Ohio State, but that's, they play Rutgers this week. Rutgers is unranked. Ohio State's number 3. They are going up against Greg Schiano, their former defense coordinator. Schiano's coached the Rutgers before and made them competitive, and that's when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers hired him, and then he stayed in the NFL for a little bit, and then he went back to college, Ohio State's D coordinator. Now they're going to up against him again, so I expect this to be a pretty solid game at first, and then Ohio State will pull away. I think that's how it's going to go.
I think Rutgers will play with them for a while.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a good game.
He knows this team. Again, Schiano's a great coach. Actually,
on paper, Ohio State should blow them out.
A lot of people don't know the story, and I think you're right about that, by the way, Ohio State blowing them out. Years ago, when Jimmy Haslam first owned the Browns, he still does, but when we're talking about when he started, and Joe Banner was his president there, and they signed Chudzinski. It didn't work out. I don't think they gave him a fair chance. That's another story. So they're looking for another coach. Banner had a face-to-face meeting with Bill Belichick, and Belichick said, "You want your answer for head coach? It's Greg Schiano." That's what he told him. He said, "This guy will turn your team around." So, like, there's a lot of coaches that look highly to Greg Schiano. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not taking this game lightly. I think in the end, Ohio State will blow them out, but that first half is going to be a good first half.
I know Rutgers won the first week of the season.
Yeah.
They won their first one, and did they win last week?
No, they lost.
They
It
lost
says it
because I
right
know
there.
they won their first, and I think they beat Minnesota. Wasn't it Minnesota or Rutgers beat Minnesota? I think it was.
I would have to
Minnesota.
look
Yeah,
it up
no
here.
big deal. I know they got it, and it was an upset win because if you go by the sheets, that the team they beat was favored.
They beat Michigan State week 1,
Yeah.
and they lost to Indiana, who I would say is playing well. It'll take Rutgers a couple of years before Schiano gets his
And then
system
Michigan
in there.
State
but-
turns around and beat Michigan last week.
yeah,
So
they did, yeah. And Michigan against, I think this was going to be the last year you see Harbaugh. If it goes as bad as I think it's going to go.
I think he goes when Ohio State comes into Columbus this year, which is it's in Columbus.
yeah.
He loses this one, he's gone.
Oh, he'll lose bad. They're dropping 100 on him. You know, that's.
He'll
We'll
be
save
gone.
that for when it comes to
When it comes.
Michigan, but it's going to be tough. And I'm dead serious.
'Cause I think he's 0-7 against Ohio State.
Yeah, expect one of those teams, whether it is Atlanta Falcons, the New York Jets, so the Texans, somebody's going to be calling. Because I think he's a better NFL coach than he is college. I thought he did really well with the 49ers. It was a kind of sad divorce how that ended up. But it's like, look, this guy won games. He took you to the Super Bowl.
You think he'll be coaching with his brother?
We'll see. I think he likes to play against his brother. I think it could be an NFC. You know, I don't. I'm trying to think of other teams because with the Jets, you could go other directions with that. Because I think Gase is going to get fired. It's not official, but I think he will. Jaguars is a thought too. There's going to be some vacancy, and he's going to get a phone call. Somebody's gonna hit him up. I know O.J. Simpson said the Browns should have. And I'm not against. I liked Harbaugh. They were years ago when the Browns had multiple first round picks. They offered one to the 49ers for him, and I said I would have taken that trade. It was the second lowest. It was the Manziel pick, I think. And they if I'm thinking the correct, and they were going to let him even general manage, which overrated practice. Have your head coach be the GM too, but having Harbaugh on the sideline would have put him in shape. But I love Kevin Stefanski. I think he's doing a great job.
I think he's doing a great job.
Yeah, they had a bad loss this past weekend. They get a bye week, but Stefanski's not going to take that lightly.
We'll
He's
talk
not
about that later.
We will.
We talked
But-
about it earlier this week, but you know.
I will, but I will say the Browns are done searching. They found their guy. Even if it's 8 games in, I don't care. They found their guy. I like what he's doing to the environment. Actually, the rumor has it they gave him all the credit for the environment change. That's just the kind of guy he is. So that's good there.
Do you think Haslam is staying out of it now? I mean,
I hope so.
You don't hear much of him anymore. He's
You got a brilliant mind in Andrew Barry running that general manager front office. He's a business and football
when
mind.
Dorsey had the team, you always heard about Haslam being involved. I mean, he was
Yeah.
somewhere along the line. He was saying something. He was doing something. I haven't even seen him at the game. Usually a camera puts up.
Right.
You know,
And I take that as a good. I think with Dorsey, he was much more quiet because he let Dorsey run the show. But I know when it was Hugh Jackson and Sashi Brown, and there wasn't a general manager. Brown was technically not a general manager, so Haslam was breathing behind their neck. You see how important of a player Myles Garrett is for this team, right?
Right.
Okay. Yes, that was the same draft as Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes would not turn out the same way, but they were looking at Mitch Trubisky, a couple of these other quarterbacks. Haslam kept asking, what about quarterback? What about quarterback? If we went Haslam's way, as much as Hugh was, decent football guy, Sashi wasn't a football guy at all. He was there to get draft picks and save money.
Right.
Putting Myles Garrett number 1 there made so much sense. I'm glad they did it. We needed to have a blow up 2 seasons. As much as they hurt, we need to blow up the team in order to rebuild it properly. So that just shows you Haslam has no idea what he's doing. That Myles Garrett pick was a great pick, despite he kept crying about quarterback. They did pick up one later in Kaiser, and I heard that the rumor is that was forced on the team. And look how that worked out. I mean, so right now I'm glad to hear Haslam being quiet. I mean, he He's got Columbus Crew too.
He's
He's been busy.
He's now the soccer owner. I mean,
Yeah, he is.
or football, as the Europeans would call it.
So once again, the Browns have an owner with a football team. At least he pays more attention to the football team than the soccer team. No thing against the Crew. I love the Crew too. That's my MLS team. But if you can remember the couple owners ago, was one owner ago. What's his name? He owned that team overseas soccer team, but he always opened up his pocket. I can't think of his name. But
I can't think. I know who you're talking
yeah,
about. I can't think.
he
of it.
wasn't a bad owner, but he just wasn't invested enough in himself with the football team. But he always opened his pocketbook out if they needed some money. But he did make bad hires that really hurt the team. He didn't look for football people. He just looked. Lerner, yeah.
Al Lerner.
Al Lerner,
I had to
yeah.
think. I had to think.
What went downhill for Lerner is there was a time he had one of the best front offices in the game back in 2002 when they made the playoffs. He had Butch Davis in the sideline that was working. Things were working well. The front office takes better position somewhere else. He puts Butch at GM, and that's where things went to hell. Then he brings in Phil Savage and Romeo Crennel. It slightly worked for a bit, and then it had a big downfall. And then he gave Eric Mangini full power, and then that really hurt him. That set him back 3 years or so. And he just gave the wrong people the power. If he would have found an executive that knew football, like I would say an Andrew Barry, like what we have now. I have that much confidence in Barry. And then they find a coach that works well with them, like these two do. They have a history. A lot of people don't know that him and Stefanski have a history together before all this, when in Minnesota. That's what's going to help you build a great team and win. But right now, we'll talk more about that Browns loss here in a little bit because we only have a couple minutes. Why don't we give, real quick, I wanted to give another MAC update, but I don't even have it ready yet for you. Let's see, 44-13. Western Michigan over Akron right now. I think that one's going to be done.
That one be done.
9-20 still. Kansas State leading the third quarter. 14-7 Ball State over Miami, Florida. I got to pull up another page because with Google, if you push more, they show you the top 25 instead of the MAC after that. They sent me right to that. Let me see. Go to scores real quick. I'll have that up for you, ladies and gentlemen, here in a sec.
But like I said, I was glad to see Mid-American got their football going. You know, they were the first conference to stop playing. You know, when this virus thing hit. Of course, then the Big Ten followed, and a couple of the other conferences. But the Mid-American Conference was the first one to cancel. Then they all started coming back, and the Mid-American Conference pretty much said, well, maybe we better come back too. Now they're only doing a 6-game schedule. They're playing each team in their division and one team out because there's 5 teams in each of the divisions.
Most of it weekdays, so they're going to be the weekday conference for this.
They're going to be playing
fall.
most of it. Now, Akron's got 2 Saturday games.
They do.
And they got 4 weekday games, and most of that's for television.
Right. Kent State next week, I think. Or is it? No, it would be the third game,
The third game of the season is when they play Kent State. And that's, of course, that's the rivalry.
Yeah.
They're sort of like a Duke in North Carolina,
Second closest rivalry in the college sports.
If you're not familiar with the Akron-Kent area, the schools separate about 10 miles.
Yeah. They're not that far
off.
You
could be on one
all.
Campus, go 10 miles, and you're on the other campus.
Exactly.
I mean, they're that close, and it's a rivalry, and it's a big rivalry. They've been playing since, about 1912. I think Kent State was founded in 1912, and of course Akron U was founded in the 1890s by John Buchtel. And our very first head coach at Akron U was John Heisman of the Heisman Trophy.
They had a whole thing on Heisman recently, and I learned a lot about it. I didn't know that some of the other places he's involved with, but yeah, huge name for Akron. They got a statue out of him in front of the new stadium. I won't forget when the new stadium opened and we actually had fans going. That first Akron-Kent State game, holy heck. A lot of fights. A lot. I mean, it got really intense there for a bit.
I mean, that's the
players swinging at fans and stuff. I mean, and That's the rivalry for you. That's how it is. It's a real deal rivalry. Thankfully, nobody got seriously hurt or died, but we've seen that in other rivalries, Giants and Dodgers, and a couple others.
And we've seen that a lot at the basketball games too, being indoors,
Right.
especially over Kent.
Exactly. Real quick, a quick rundown before we take our first break. Eastern Michigan 15, Kent State 20, so they're leading that. Buffalo 14, Northern Illinois 10. Ohio 13, Central Michigan 20 in Central Michigan there. 14-7 Ball State over Miami, Ohio in the second quarter. And then kicking off their first quarter, Toledo's already got a touchdown, 6-0 against Bowling Green in Toledo. We got to take a break. We'll be right back in about 5 minutes here at PolymerCityRecords.com. This is 10 Cent Beer Night from Akron, Ohio.
These blues. This morning the blues walked in like a man. All these blues. The blues walked in like a man. Worried blues. Give me your right hand. All the blues is a low down and a shaking chill. Yes, preach it now. If you ain't never had 'em, I hope you never will. When I preach these blues, you come on in, take your seat and sit on down. when I preach these blues. You come on in, take your seat and sit on down. And if the spirit moves you, if the spirit moves you, and if the spirit moves you, Lord, if the spirit moves you, jump straight up and down. Let these blues is a low down and an aching heart disease. Yeah, these blues is a low down and an aching old heart disease. Like consumption, killing me by degrees. I can study the rain, oh, I drive my blues away. I've been studying the rain, I'm gonna drive my blues away. Going out to the distillery, gonna stay out there all day. Up jump the devil. Okay, here goes the CD.
Back here at 10 Cent Beer Night, PalmerCityRecords.com, the sports show here every Wednesday, 7:30 to 9:30.
Best damn sports show on the internet.
That's close to another name of another old sports
Don't you
show.
see that? Don't you see our little promotion that's put on there? It says the best damn sports show.
Just leave out period, because that used to be a show that on Fox
okay.
Sports. Do you remember that?
Well, I don't do that.
Right.
I don't write that stuff up.
Probably Roger does. I'm Seth.
I'm Bob.
There you go. We were just talking a little bit of MAC football, Big Ten, a little baseball too, with everything going on. We'll say basketball for another time. There's just not much going on in basketball. We should have word soon from Adam Silver when they think they're going to be starting and whatnot. Until then, we still have NFL football. Briefly, our Cleveland Browns did not win last Sunday. They played very poorly. Baker did not do bad. It wasn't his fault, but bad defense.
Yeah, defense.
Drop passes. Drop 5 critical drop pass. You can't get in a rhythm when you're dropping passes like that. And another second game in a row, I should say, that a Cleveland defender had a pick six had he caught the ball. The ball right there, and and you get paid millions of dollars to do not that. So yeah, this was the first Browns loss. They only have 3. Surprising, we only have 3 going into week 9, but that's besides the point. This is the first one where I look back and say, you should have won that one.
Now we got a bye week this week.
We got a bye week
so
this
we ain't
week.
gonna lose.
Right, we're not gonna lose. I do like in the past, had we been 5-3, they'd be like, oh, we're pretty upbeat about it. They're all go looking for it. This team's mad. They are very mad. They don't want to be 5-3 going to bye week, and I love that attitude.
We
because,
should be 6-2.
Yeah, at least.
I mean,
that
that loss last week hurt.
That was again. That's the first. I mean, they got their booty kicked by
and
the
I think
Steelers and Ravens,
And I
but
think
that was
and probably the two best teams in our division for sure,
yeah.
and probably in all of football. I mean, they're both going to be there.
They're the last good teams we play for the rest of the season. Those two.
Well,
You look at our schedule, and I did tell people before last game, Raiders were the ones that scared me a bit as far as the next couple games how they're going to look. Browns should be able to win at least their last 3 games or so before they play. I think it's the Steelers again. They play. I know they play Baltimore Monday night in Cleveland. That's that one. I think both of them will be better games than the first one. This is Browns. This team should go to the playoffs. I'm dead serious. The way the league is looking, the way things are set up, there is no reason they shouldn't go to the playoffs this year.
like we talked this week, I'll be honest with you, that was the first NFL game I watched
You're right.
the whole season. And because you know me, and
Yeah,
you know my reasoning.
Yeah.
And I should I watch them again?
That's up to you.
Because they look bad. Like I said, Baker didn't have a bad game. He didn't have a
No.
great game. But he didn't have
But
a
it
bad
wasn't
game.
his fault.
No,
You can't play. He didn't turn it over. There was not one turnover from the guy.
Even the running game didn't look that good.
No.
I mean, it wasn't as good as it was the last couple games, even against Pittsburgh and
Yeah, exactly.
and Baltimore.
Something happened there. Like I've mentioned before last week, Wyatt Teller has really hurt the team. Now the good news is Myles Garrett is not seriously hurt. Teller could be back next game. Nick Chubb could be back next game. That's not for sure. But if we get those two back, that's going to be huge.
No.
'Cause Teller opened those holes in that O-line all day.
See, I didn't know Garrett had an ankle injury.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I mean, I've heard that they was talking about that on the show. I didn't know all week. I'd say that I didn't know he was hurt.
He got banged up a couple weeks ago, but they said it's nothing serious, and he'll be in for the next game for sure. But we need him there because this defense is horrible without him. Trade deadline came and passed. There was no move made, even with the Jets, Vikings, and other teams having a fire sale. There was no move. I thought they would make at least one effort for a linebacker or a defensive back, but they didn't.
Our linebacking core is horrible.
It is, and a lot of people had him last in the league with linebackers before the season starts. So this is going to be the big hole. And a lot of the early mock drafts coming out are saying linebacker will be addressed within the first 2 picks. Maybe not the first pick, depending who's on the board, but they're saying expect a very defensive draft from the Browns. I would say defense or offensive line. I mean, we're jumping ahead, but they can still win with this unit. As bad as the defense played, I would like to see Greedy Williams find a way back onto the roster. He's been banged up the whole year. There just needs to be improvement. Now they have a bye week to work on it. They have plenty of time to watch some film. I guess today was practice as normal. They had a COVID scare, I guess, a day ago.
Right.
Now today was their first, and this is the last practice of the week. They're going to give them some time off to rest, to heal up, refocus. But I'm still faithful in the Browns team right now. But I'm just not happy with the last one. But I'm glad to hear they're not either, and that they're going to take it seriously. Because you look at that 1-31 team we had, if you remember them. I'm talking about the 2 seasons back. We were just a complete joke. Every time we were losing, players were laughing on the sidelines like, "Oh, well, no big deal." This and it was a big deal. Now these guys,
Well, I think you can credit Sabansky for that.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, he's got him motivated, and he's put the hammer down.
He did.
You know.
He made some mental adjustments there in the environment. It's all about winning. It's all about moving the ball. It's all about all the football things it should be about. It's about right now. No, I am very encouraged by this Browns team, but they need to come out next year. I hope this was a wake up call. This is the first non-conference loss too.
Now they've got
On division, whatever you want to call
okay,
it.
this is the bye week, and they go to Denver, or did Denver come here?
Is it Denver? I thought it was Jacksonville. Let me pull that up real quick.
I thought it was somebody said it was Denver.
I don't think we play Denver this year. No, Raiders were our only FC West team we play. We play the Texans. We play Romeo Crennel. Yeah,
Romeo.
so the rest of the schedule, just real quick, because there's no Browns game this week to talk about. They play they're at home 2 straight games. They're Texans on the 15th, the Eagles on the 22nd. Then they go to Jacksonville on the 29th there, and then
You mean the 3 and whatever Eagles, first place of the
Yep,
East.
yep, we played them, and that should be a win there. Jacksonville, that one, they should win, but Jacksonville's going to, I think, give them a little bit issues. I take back about the last tough game of Steelers and Ravens because they played in Tennessee on December 6th. That's going to be a tough one. Then they play the Ravens on Monday night in Cleveland. Then they go to New York back to back to play the Giants and then the Jets. See, this is why I was really looking forward to Odell in these games because he was going to just tear it up in front of them, being back there back to back, and that's not happening. And then the last week is Pittsburgh at Cleveland, and that could be a keep all starters in the game kind of game for both teams. That's going to be a fun one there, and that
It's possible going 10-6.
right.
You know?
11-5 maybe even, but there's
I'll see 10-6. I'll see a little letdown in there somewhere.
yeah, maybe the Titans game too. That's going to be a very tough one. But no, this looking at the rest of the league too, this should be a playoff year, and they shouldn't how should I say it? No exceptions. Just come out there, next man up if somebody goes down.
Now, the little mess up that we had the other day with the Raiders, you blame the weather?
No, I blame
You can't blame the weather in football, but you know what?
You can't.
They played that game in Denver, and Kansas City played out there with the snow. It was on the
Right,
snow
and Kansas City didn't play up to their par. I'm not. How should I say it? I'm not gonna blame the weather. They just played bad. They let so many players go. The defense was just terrible. And again, it's not Baker's fault, but they tried to move the ball, and you had a couple critical drop passes. Then you had the Landry touchdown reversed. You had began the game. Ronnie Harrison should have had a pick six to the house,
Right.
and didn't. It's over with. The Raiders won. John Gruden beat his old team, his favorite team growing up, not his old team. I think he was assistant somewhere years ago, but I don't remember. But it's over, and the Raiders won. They're still in the bubble of the playoffs along with the Browns, so we'll see what happens. Let's go to a couple of the other games coming up this week. Tomorrow's game, the Thursday night of the 5-2 Packers versus the 4-4 49ers. I know, unlike your son-in-law there, you don't follow closely, so you might not have as many predictions. But here's a quick.
I might not follow them as watching them, okay, but I do follow them on another source of amusement.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if I were to ask you to gamble, these ones, the 5-2 Packers versus the 4-4 49ers, who are you taking in this one?
I'll take the Packers and give the points.
There you go. I'm going to agree with him on there. Packers playing some great football of late. 49ers are beat up. They lost Garoppolo for at least 6 weeks, and George Kittle's season could be over. Up and down the board, this team is hurting so bad. They lost Samuel, too, the wide receiver, for tomorrow. I think this is going to be one that's going to hurt the 49ers. I think Pac's going to roll in this one. I could see 20-plus points in that one. So there you go. That's tomorrow night's game. Best of luck if you have Aaron Rodgers on your fantasy team there. Moving on to Sunday at 1 o'clock, these two teams play the next couple games at Cleveland Browns. Against the Cleveland Browns, the 1-6 Texans and Jaguars in Jacksonville. Who do you like? There you go, Bob.
Oh God, what's the line? I'll go with Jacksonville.
You're gonna go with Jacksonville. I'm actually gonna go with Houston on this one, and the reason being is Jacksonville starting a rookie quarterback. Minshew's got a couple broken bones. He's gonna probably be out for a little bit. That's gonna hurt Jacksonville moving the ball. Texans are coming off a bye week, so they had some rest. Watson's refreshed, and he wants to, this is a game that they need to win. They don't have a first or second round pick going in the next draft, so they need to get as many wins as possible just to make their season less, how should I say it, less painful to watch, I guess. Romeo Crennel's doing what he can do. I think this is a game they can win. Again, both these teams are the next two games against the Browns. Houston, and no, actually, I take that back. There's a game between Houston and Jacksonville. The Eagles. We just said that.
Eagles, yeah.
So, but the next two of the three games, the Browns will have their shot at each team. But I'll go with Houston. But Bob will bet on the Jaguars here. Another game with two weaker teams. We saw this match a couple weeks ago, and it got kind of ugly too. 1-7 Giants at 2-5 Washington. Washington beat them up bad. Do you think Washington will win again?
You know what? I'm going to go with the Giants in this one.
You're going with the Giants on this
Yeah,
one.
You know, I don't know. Something telling me to go with the Giants.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm going to go with the Giants too, only because I saw some serious life against the Buccaneers in this past Monday Night Football game. It looked like the Giants were actually going to pull it off for a minute, but they gave Tom Brady a run for his money. He had to work for that win. I think Giants are it's a young team, but they're ready to step up. They didn't forget that loss against their divisional opponent, and this is despite the last score they had against the Giants. These are two pretty equal teams. I think I can see the Giants edging them out on this one.
You know, and it's the NFC East. I mean,
Right.
those that's a pretty good.
Everybody's up for grabs still for the playoffs. That's how bad it. Yes, even the
got-
1-6 Giant,
you got
1-5,
the last-
whatever it is,
They're only 2 games out.
they're
with,
only
with 8 games to go. So
and they cut their league in by a game if they beat Washington.
They beat Washington, yeah, so-
It's going to be interesting. That division. Oh, it's
it's pretty sad. The possibility that could be an under 500. Where it looks could be definitely going to be under 500 to win that division.
Eagles
and you're
might-
going to have teams that's going to be 3 or 4 games more ahead. They ain't going to make the playoffs.
it's
You know-
and they get home field because they would play the wild card team. They would get home field advantage.
Don't the best record plays the wild card team?
uh
I think the best record plays the wild card team in the first round. Because you got to have your wild card game. Of course, they added another wild card game team this year.
Yeah. From what I heard, I'm tempted to say it was Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. With one of the games, there was this match. No, it was Sunday night against Eagles and Cowboys. The situation was brought up, so it wasn't Buck or anybody. It was the NBC squad. Michael, what's his name? And their names are slipping me. But anyway, they said whoever wins the NFC East would have home field in the first round because they'd play the wild card team because they won a division. It doesn't have to go by record. If you won your division, but you're the weaker division team, you get home field against the wild card.
To me, that don't seem right.
I get it because you won your division, but that's just
you won your division. You got the best record. What are you playing for? What are you playing for? You should have it.
You're playing
make
for the
it
playoffs.
Like
yeah.
1 plays 8, 2 plays 4. I mean, that's what I always thought it would be.
Yeah, but they would get a slightly higher seed just because they're in a division winner.
Yeah,
And it's weird, but it's the way it goes.
I mean, division. You're only going to have 1 wild card winner.
right.
You got 3 divisions, 1 wild card, so you got the 4 teams. You can't have. So one's going to play the wild card, and the other 2 division winners are going to play each other. I mean, and you got better records than that. That just don't seem right to me.
I don't make the rules. Roger Goodell does.
I mean,
know.
personally, that's my opinion.
I know. Now here's my question. All right, would you rather be a fan of the Eagles, Washington football, the Giants, or the Cowboys right now? That's the question.
Yeah, I don't know.
'Cause
I'll tell you what, if I had to pick one, I'll go with the America's team, the Dallas Cowboys.
So you go with the Dallas.
Okay.
See, I think the majority of non-fans of those teams, if they had to pick one, they'd pick the Eagles or somebody that's not the Cowboys. Cowboys were predicted to be like a Super Bowl potential team, but
only because the Cowboys got that great dance team that goes out there.
oh yeah,
yeah, I'll root for them.
I mean, yeah, I like that too. But they're not playing well at all. Zeke's not running the
I
ball.
know.
They're just a
A lot of
complete
people
mess.
think this is Zeke's last year. I mean, that
Really?
he will not be in a Cowboys uniform next year.
Well,
you know.
he's not showing up. You know what I mean?
I've heard
A
that.
lot of people think it's
talk.
McCarthy's last year too. It's a whole mess out there. I'll tell you what. But yeah, that division's something else. Move on to the next game, the 1:00 game. Baltimore Ravens 5-2 versus the Indianapolis Colts 5-2. And with that, real quick before I forget, Bob, before I ask you, happy birthday to my dad, the Colts fan that I know. It's his birthday today.
Happy
Happy
birthday. John.
Jim.
I knew it started with a J.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
And
But
he's over in Indiana Tech.
yep, he's a women's coach, soccer coach at Indiana Tech. They're finishing their season up, but tournament's not till the spring because of COVID. It's weird. but it's the way it works. And he found out today he's also going to be a grandpa again. So what a wedding present, you know what I mean?
What a birthday present.
Birthday, whatever.
You said wedding
Wedding,
present.
wedding,
Was he getting
birthday.
married again?
No, I don't think he'll ever get married again. He's married now, but I don't think he'll get married again if somebody croaked or something.
Well, happy birthday, Jim.
There you go. But now, who you're going to pick?
Oh, God. This is in Indianapolis?
Yes. If you had your money.
I'm going to take Indianapolis and,
Oh, you're going to take India.
and the points.
And the points, okay.
And the points.
I mean, it's good money if you're
gotta
right.
if it's got to be straight up, I'll take Baltimore.
There you go.
Okay. But I think the Colts will give them a game.
I'm going to go with Baltimore here. Here's the reason being, is Indianapolis not a bad team. They're definitely going to be in the talks of that wild card because I think Tennessee's going to win that division. That's just me personally. But Colts, one of if not the best defense in the league, they have that. But again, the Browns found a way to beat them. Which Browns again have a good offense when it's working. Ravens also have a good offense. Ravens also have a great defense. Colts offense is so. They can move the ball, but I don't think they can put in the end zone as consistent as other teams, other playoff running teams, I should say, in the hunt, whatever. My gut says Baltimore's going to have a good game this one, probably by 17. I think it'll be a good fight most of it, and then Baltimore will break loose a bit, but Lamar's due for a good game. They had a good game against Pittsburgh. That was a very entertaining game, but I think...
Well, if you think it's by 16, 17, you said?
Yeah.
Well, the points, when I looked today, it was 14. So I'll take the points and give it.
There you go. But there you go. Sorry, Dad. I'm just being honest. I think the old Colts Battlegrounds is going to win this one. There used to be. He's been a fan since they were the Baltimore.
I'll go with Baltimore. I mean, if it's even up, I'll go with Baltimore.
There you go. We'll go to the next 1 o'clock game. The 3-4 Detroit Lions take on the 2-5 Minnesota Vikings. Real quick, Matt Stafford got COVID today. He's on the COVID list. He will not be playing. Now, he's not playing. Minnesota suffering.
I'm going with Detroit.
You're going with Detroit.
I'm going with Detroit.
Do you think we'll see what's his name from Purdue come out again? Remember let's see.
Like I said, I didn't watch any of the game. I watched
I'm
the
going to pull
Browns
up
game last week, but
the article here who they're going to have.
I think wasn't it going to start? I just seen that.
Just saw Cameron Dancer.
There's 2 quarterbacks he's thinking about starting. Take a picture.
Yeah, I'm trying to look up here. Chase Daniels, his quarterback, who is a solid backup. I was hoping to be that kid from Purdue, that they had last year. He did solid last. He was with the Browns and they traded for him. If you can remember that last year. But it's looking like more Chase Daniel. But who do you like here in Minnesota? And Detroit's played a bit better.
Well, I'm taking Detroit.
You're taking Detroit?
I'm taking Detroit.
I think you did just say that. I zoned out. Taking Detroit with Chase Daniel. And you know what? I'm going Detroit too by 3. The reason being, all right, Dalvin Cook is the offense for the Vikings. If he has a good game, they're going to stay. They're going to stick with it.
So you're taking the points then, because Minnesota's giving Detroit 2.
There you go.
I know that for a fact. I've seen that.
You already seen that. I'm going to go with the points here. Detroit's they are playing a little better, and they needed to. This is Patricia's 3rd year at head coach, so something had to give. There had to be some improvement somewhere. With Matt Stafford out there, it's going to hurt him. But again, Chase Daniels is a solid backup quarterback. He's similar to Browns Case Keenum, where if you just need to fill in one game, he can come through for you. Josh McCown was similar too when he was with the Bears. I can see Daniel having a solid game there. I think this is going to be a defensive matchup. Lions will struggle a bit, but they'll find a way to move the ball and just get enough. If they can slow down Cook, which is not an easy thing to do. Cook tore up last week, and they still they found a way to win. That's right. So that was a close. Did they find? Yes, I think they beat the. I'm going by memory here.
Ooh,
I don't remember. Did they win? Minnesota, yeah, that's what I thought.
Minnesota won?
Minnesota won last week, yeah. But they have great receivers. See, they have good offense, but it's not rolling. I think they miss Kevin Stefanski. That's what it is. Their former, but something's telling me the Lions are going to pull this off. They're just playing really well. Minnesota's just traded away a couple good players. They're on edge for some reason. I don't know why, but they had a big victory last week. I'm going with Detroit. Again, this past weekend was so crazy. A lot of my picks I thought for sure winners were not, including Minnesota.
I got murdered, so
Yeah.
on the sheets. So.
Every dude, up and down.
My first loss of the day was the Browns. Okay.
Yeah, that was not good. Next 1 o'clock game. This one should be interesting. 5-3 Chicago Bears versus the 5-2 Tennessee Titans. What are you feeling like here?
I'm going to take Tennessee.
Tennessee, me too.
I'm taking Tennessee.
Tennessee's due for when they won last week, but they got kind of banged up a couple games before that, so they're just looking to get back into rhythm. Bears are not a bad team. Great defense. Offense is struggling, and you cannot struggle against that Tennessee defense. You cannot. They will devour you. Tannehill's playing very well still, and Derrick Henry, I think, will have still a solid game. Again, that Chicago defense is very good. I'm going to go with Tennessee. In Tennessee, it makes just a lot of sense. I think that this is going to be a good game for them. Bears, they're not bad. They just need a little more on offense.
Bears, I mean, judging by the scores every week and stuff, they're a decent team.
Yeah.
You know, they play
Very well coached. I like Nagy a lot, but I also like Vrabel.
Well, he's an Ohio boy.
He's an Akron kid. He's an Akron kid.
Right from this area. Played at Walsh Jesuit High School.
Yeah, played for Ohio State, the New England Patriots. He's a great coach. He really is. But this gonna be. I think this is gonna be a great game. And I'll take Tennessee by about 10, but I think most of the game is going to be back and forth, like downs, either scoring or whatnot. As I think Tennessee needs to find the end zone though, because Gostkowski, he's just inconsistent right now. He's going to the downhill of his career. He missed a couple key ones last week, so. But I'll go with Tennessee there. Another 1 o'clock game. This one might be an underrated one. The 3-5 Panthers will play the 7-1 Chiefs. So who do you like here?
I'll take the Chiefs. They're home.
I agree with you.
Home. It ain't gonna be no underrated. I think it's gonna be a blowout.
You think it's gonna be a blowout?
Especially after Kansas, the way they played the other night in Denver.
Yeah.
You know, they're gonna.
No Jets. They played the Jets. Yeah.
Because they didn't really play a great game.
They still
got
roll.
the win, but.
It's in Kansas City. I agree with Bob. Kansas City's just on fire. They're playing on all cylinders very well. Panthers, I think this is one of those games. At halftime, it's going to be close. In the second half, they're going to pull away. I could see Kansas City by 17 or 24 points. Again, the Panthers defense, it's good, but it's young. Their offense, though, it's moving the ball well, but you're playing against Kansas City defense now, so that's what's going to be a problem. And they're very well coached as well. I'll go with Kansas City there in that one. Another 1 o'clock. This one's going to be good. The 6-1 Seattle Seahawks go to the 6-2 Buffalo Bills. This is.
Well, I'm going with the AFC.
You're going with the AFC.
I'm going with Buffalo.
I'm going to go with the NFC. I'm going with Seattle.
All right.
There's a case to be made with both. Both of them have great offenses. Seattle's is better. DJ Moore getting the nickname from LeBron James himself. He's the LeBron James of the NFL now.
What's his nickname?
Not DK Metcalf. I said DJ Moore. I was thinking Panthers still. DK Metcalf. And he is fun to watch. And I said I wanted the Browns to look at him when they were looking at the directions. I said, he's big. He can catch the ball. Why not?
Well, we need guys that can catch the ball. I know that.
Right. Now, normally we have been. But last game they did not. No.
I think with Beckham being out.
They'll get back to. I like some of the receiving crew in the back. But looking back at Seattle, like Russell Wilson's playing really well. The thing that's going to decide this is going to be defense. Now, Seattle's defense, it's good. It's not great. And again, you have a great Buffalo offense there. But they don't run the ball like a lot of teams do. But they do pass, and Josh Allen does scramble a lot. But the Buffalo defense, they are also very good, well coached. I think this is going to come down to the wire. I can see Seattle by 6 with either a touchdown extra point to win it, and Buffalo going on the last drive and maybe getting stopped or something like that. I think this is going to be fun. This is going to be a great. I mean, this is the game. If I'm no Browns this week, this is the one I circled. And when we put on Red Zone in our football group on Sundays, this is the one I'm watching. This is going to be. I like both these teams. It's great programs that built their own. I'm excited just thinking about it. I'm going with Seattle. I mean, you got a good case for the Bills. I'm not gonna say you're wrong. Both are just they'll be in the playoffs, and this could be maybe not this year, but maybe next year, or the year after. This could be a potential Super Bowl matchup. But again, every year's different. You don't know what's going to happen. But this year, this is a great game. So we'll see. And maybe we'll get some snow out of it too. It's Buffalo, so we'll
Well,
see.
I'll tell you what, this weekend, this part of the country is supposed to be in the 60s.
That's true. We're gonna have a nice weekend here in November.
I know. I'm golfing tomorrow morning.
There you go. Another 1:00 game. This one, this is gonna be interesting. The 3-4 Broncos play 2-6 the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta. What do you think?
You know, I'm looking for Atlanta to have a good game. I'm gonna take Atlanta.
You're gonna take Atlanta.
I'm taking Atlanta.
Uh,
I mean, from the highlights I watched the other day, the Broncos don't impress me.
Broncos they found a way to win. They had a walk-off win last week. I'm going with Broncos by 3. I think it's going to be back and forth because both defenses. Well, Broncos D decent. Atlanta's D's terrible. Atlanta's offense can be good. It depends what kind of day they show. I mean, Matt Ryan's still a great quarterback. They got a great receiving core. Gurley's running the ball right. He's a little banged up, but he can still move it. But the thing is, Denver passes the ball pretty well. I'm not going to say up to Matt Ryan's standard, but Locke's got still a lot though. But he's a great, tall, strong, hard-throwing guy. They don't run it as well as they thought, but with this, how bad Atlanta's defense is, this is going to be a back-and-forth game. I can see it by a field goal. I'm not going to even say there's going to be a ton of touchdowns.
I'm still going with Atlanta.
You're still going with Atlanta. They're at home. They got a good defensive coach
my
there.
motto is, when in doubt, I take the home team.
Yeah.
Well, not so much this year because there ain't 100,000 people sitting in the stands. Okay?
And that makes a difference.
I mean, that is a difference when there ain't a lot of fans in the stands. But a home team, I just like home teams.
There you go. So we're at odds here. That's okay. Denver, we'll see. I mean, this is a game about two teams that will be in the top 10 in the draft picks coming up. So this is somebody's going to want to pull ahead in that one. Going on to the 4:00 games, the 4-3 Raiders, who just recently beat the Browns, at the 2-5 Chargers. Who do you got here?
I'll go with the Raiders.
You go with the Raiders. I'm going to go with the Raiders too. Herbert continues to play really well for the Chargers. However, Chargers defense needs a lot of work. The Raiders are a great coach team. Aside from how messy the Browns game was, they held on to their plan and continue. That's the Gruden way. You know what I mean? He's got a set plan and schemes to help win games. He's John Gruden. You know, he's a Hall of Fame NFL coach. He will be in the Hall of Fame if he's not now. And I forget if he is or not because he retired there for a while and I think he was eligible. But I just got to feel the Raiders are going to be in the bubble in the playoff talks for a while. Chargers are not. Chargers have a bright future, but they need more pieces right now. This is a rivalry game. I think Raiders want to take this game there in LA, so I'm going to agree with you there. 4:25 game, a team that shocked me last week and won, the 4-3 Miami Dolphins at the 5-2 Arizona Cardinals. You got Tua and you got Kyler Murray. What do you like?
I'm taking the Dolphins.
You're taking the Dolphins.
I am going to take the Dolphins in an upset.
Taking the Dolphins upset. How much do you think they're going to win?
Huh?
If you had the points.
If I had the points, well, I definitely would take the points.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they're going to. Didn't look at that one, but I'm sure they're getting 7.
They're getting 7.
Yeah, but I think they're going to win it outright. I like the Dolphins. I've always liked the Dolphins.
They have a great young head coach out there. His name is slipping me right now, but let me see if I can look it up real quick.
Some of the highlights I have seen of the Dolphins, they don't look like a bad team. They look like they got a lot of young kids.
Brian Flores is his
Flores,
name.
yeah.
He's a great coach. This is only his second year, and they're playing above standards. I thought they'd be like a top 5 draft pick again. Defense is looking sharp, like what he was brought in to do. Offense needs some work. They got a rookie quarterback. It's going to happen, but they got some weapons there. I am going to go with the Cardinals by 17 because that is a team that's just been playing really well of late. They move the ball like they make it look easy there, and I think Miami's defense is good. It's going to keep them in the game, but I think they're going to pull some tricks there. They're going to find a couple touchdowns.
I mean, this one's going to be my upset special.
You're upset.
I really believe that Miami can win this game.
And there is a chance. I'm not going to sit here and say that the Cardinals are going to way overmatch them, but it's going to be a good game, and there is a chance for an upset. There's a chance for an upset any game, but I think Miami has proven that they're playing well enough that they could pull an upset here. It is in Arizona. Again, I like the way Arizona's moving the ball. I'm going to go with Arizona there. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, Flores is a great coach there. This game, at the beginning of... actually, we got to take a break, and then we'll talk about this game. Chris is going to want us to talk about the next game we're going to talk about. But we got to take a break. It is 10-cent beer night here at PalmerCityRecords.com. We're going to take 5 minutes. We'll be back to talk about the rest of the NFL and more. Stay tuned.
She's my twin flame. She's my twin flame. She's blind to the world like I like to do. She saved me from myself when I thought I was through. She steals my heart like a thief. Lets me ride on the ground like a falling leaf. Turns me around in my own disbelief. She's my twin flame. She's my twin flame. And she's just my style. And she's just my style. She's my twin flame. She's my twin flame. She's my twin flame. She's my twin flame.
But we're in for another long year.
We're in for another long year. We're in for our last half hour of the show today. 10-cent beer night, BaltimoreCityRecords.com. I'm Seth.
I'm Bob.
Thank you for joining us. We got a couple more football games to talk about, NFL, and then we'll get back to everything else there. This one, at the beginning of the year, people circled as a really good game. It's not going to be a good game. 7-0 Pittsburgh Steelers take on the 2-6 Dallas Cowboys. All right, Bob. Who do you got?
All right, you listening, Seth and Chris and
Chris
Steph?
Steph, yeah.
You guys listening?
They're not.
I'm going to take Pittsburgh.
He's going to take Pittsburgh. How much now?
I'm going to take.
Yeah,
I'll take Pittsburgh and give the points.
you give the points there. Okay. I'm going to go with Pittsburgh too. It's going to be by, I think, somewhere along the lines of 30-plus points, maybe 35. Dallas is just playing terrible. No defense. They got a rookie quarterback who did his best last week and couldn't pull off a win against the struggling Eagles and gave the Eagles the division lead because Cowboys have 2 wins, Eagles have 3. And that's the division. That's just how things look right now. Pittsburgh playing really well. They're 7-0. They'll be 8-0. They're going to move the ball well. I expect a couple big fantasy points from any Pittsburgh players or Pittsburgh defense, whatever you have. If you have and I had to sit. I had a quarterback on bye, so I had to start Roethlisberger. I got Chase Claypool on that team too. It should be a good fantasy day there. No, Cowboys are struggling. I wouldn't even call them America's team right now.
They're
bad.
America's team.
The Browns are America's team.
No, the Cowboys got these young ladies that dance out there.
No, it doesn't. Then every strip club is America's team. What do you want to tell me? Okay.
So anyway, I'll take Pittsburgh. Chris and Stephanie, that's probably the last time you're ever going to hear me say that. Okay, and I know you're out there watching, but I do love you guys.
There you go. Sunday nights, 5-2, New Orleans Saints go to Tampa Bay to play the 6-2 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Who do you got, Bob?
Brady and the Bucks.
Brady and the Bucks. I'm actually going with the Saints. Reason being, this is going to be a very, very good game. Okay, you got 2 divisional teams, both of them in the playoff hunt, both of them playing very well. Buccaneers showed a little bit of weakness against the Giants last week, and they won, but not as much as you thought they would. A little bit of banged up. It is Antonio Brown's debut. I think he's going to have a great debut.
The Giants are weak. So you play up to your potential, you know.
Yeah. But I'm not taking away from Brady and the Buccaneers. I think this is a great team. I think this is a team that's going to end up winning the NFC South. But my gut is saying there's going to be an upset. It's going to be New Orleans. If anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Drew Brees. You know what I mean? And we'll see if Michael Thomas comes back or not. That's been the million-dollar question for fantasy owners and for Saints fans. And that's going to make a difference too. It'd be nice to see a Michael Thomas, Antonio Brown return onto the field on the same night. That'd be a good one. My gut's just saying it's going to be the Saints, and I'm telling you, it's going to be a close game too. Yeah. We're talking about 3 to 10 points somewhere along those lines. But it's gonna be a good one. It'll be just a fun one to watch. We're due for a good Sunday night game. The past couples have been so-so, but
yeah. Well, like I said, I'm going with the Patriots.
You're going with the Buccaneers. Now, are you going with the Patriots? Because that's Monday Night Football. The 2-5 Patriots take on the 0-8 Jets.
Yeah.
Right
okay,
here.
yeah. I jumped ahead. Yeah, I'm going to Patriots.
So you're going with the Patriots.
It's hard for me to imagine Tom Brady not in New England. Okay, I keep thinking that.
I think even with a struggling Cam Newton, I have the Patriots too. The Jets are just horrid. You've heard me say that week in and week out. And I have nothing personal against the Jets. They're just not a great team. The Patriots are due for a win. They need one to get their confidence boost. They have just not played up to par. I think this is it though. This is a game that they should win. If they don't, they are in some serious trouble. If they hand the Jets their first win, it's going to be all hell's going to break loose in New England. That's what it's going to be. But I got the Patriots. It's not going to be a great game. I don't think it's going to be. It's going to be a decent game. The Patriots aren't going to win by a ton, but they're going to do enough. That's what I'm going with. That's your NFL predictions there. No Browns games this week, so all you Browns fans, just put your feet up, relax, and just watch some quality football. Watch the teams that the Browns were playing coming up and see what your thoughts are if the Browns can defeat the Texans, the Eagles, the Jaguars, all the other teams coming up that they're playing soon.
And the Steelers.
And the Steelers.
And the Ravens.
And the Ravens. And Titans. And I think we basically named it almost all of it, but that's besides the point. So,
I mean, nothing gets me if the Browns would beat the Steelers. I would love that.
I would love it too, and I think it could potentially happen at the end of the season. But again, we're far from that.
Yeah, I know.
We'll see there.
To me, that makes the season when you beat them at least once.
And they've actually been consistently competitive against them, just not the last game. The last game was horrible there. Let's one more MAC update real quick, because MAC started tonight, in case you're just tuning in here. In the fourth quarter, less than 2 minutes, 23-27, Kent State over Eastern Michigan at Kent there. In Akron, it is bad. Western Michigan up 58-13 against the Zips. The Zips will not be winning their first game for their coach today. It's just all kinds of Western Michigan, a very tough team in the conference there. 28-16, Buffalo beating Northern Illinois in the third quarter. Buffalo also a very good program there. Ohio 27, Central Michigan 20, and that's in the third quarter at Central Michigan. Those two usually put up a good game.
They're usually two of the cream of the crop.
Yep. Third quarter, 21-17, Ball State beating Miami, Ohio in Miami. Miami, Ohio's been struggling, so maybe this is a sign for better things to come there. And then 21-0, Toledo beating Bowling Green in Toledo again. I mentioned before, I have Toledo being the best team in the MAC this year, and it's going to be very interesting what they bring.
Like I said, Toledo, I know the coaching polls, they had the most number one, votes out of the coaching poll for the MAC preseason.
Right.
Total points, Central Michigan had the total points as the preseason favorite to win the MAC. So
Right, great. I mean, they recruit well. They've been grabbing some talent, even though Ohio State's even
but
looked at.
we look at Akron U. Like I read earlier, 30 of the kids on the roster is from this area, and Northeastern Ohio is a lot of good football in this area.
Oh,
I mean,
great talent.
What do we got to do to I understand that top-notch ones are going to the bigger schools. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they're going to Ohio States and Michigans, and especially like the kids from Buchtel, Akron, Buchtel here and stuff. With Ricky Powers being the coach over there, he tends to get a lot of his kids going to Michigan.
Right.
Of course, Ricky played at Michigan and, of course, played for the Browns, and played in the NFL. But I think 3 of the kids that transferred this year from Buchtel to Massillon, are going to Michigan.
Right.
They're already committed to Michigan. And so, I mean, we get a lot of good talent here in this area. I'd like to see Akron draw some of that.
And they might with this new coach and this new program here. I think there's a
lot. Like I said, a lot of local kids stay here. Like I said, we do got a lot of great football in this area. I mean, a lot of the schools in this area are good schools. Massillon, McKinley's, Jackson's. Got a lot of good in this area. I just don't understand why a lot of these kids wouldn't want to come and play at Akron. I mean,
and it depends who's reaching out to them.
If I was a good kid,
a good boy,
a good ball player,
a
good ball player, do I want to go to Akron where I'm going to play probably right away, or go to Ohio State where I'm going to sit the bench for the first 2 years, or 2 or 3 years?
And that's if you make the cut.
Or get redshirted, and I'm not. I can practice with the team, but I'm not going to see any play time until my sophomore year.
Yeah. Everybody's got a different situation. I'm going to leave the name out of it. Nothing personal either. I used to work with one of St. Ve's top players a couple of years ago, their grandma. She was always proud of her grandson. Freak athlete, a running back, cornerback. He played it all. Ohio State talked to him. West Virginia talked to him. Kent State talked to him. He went to Toledo, okay? And part of it, I think, was to get on the field there. Because it was like, he was one of those guys. He's a very good football player. He could be something. But because he was, I think he was a 3-star. Maybe 4. I forget, because he wasn't that 5 A+. Oh, he's going to be out there right away. I think that's why he looked into a different situation where he could play right away. Everybody's got a different. I mean, if you're a quarterback looked at, or not even just quarterback, but player looked at by all these schools, and by even NFL scouting, then a bigger school could be more fitting because then you go up against the bigger competition. What you have.
I get that. We're saying college football, you want to go to the bigger schools because that's where the recruiting for the NFL comes out on.
Right.
But being in the baseball business that I'm in,
Yeah.
I got kids come to me and say, I want to play D1 baseball. I want to go to Stanford. I want to go to Arizona. When we're talking the premier,
Yeah.
baseball schools. And first thing I'll tell them, why? Why do you want to go out there and sit the bench for 2 years and not play when you go to one of the local colleges or one of D2 or D3s? Right. Baseball is completely different than the NBA, the NHL, the NFL, because we have to draft each year 1,500 kids of the major league teams. We don't just get them out of the D1 schools. We get them out of the D3, the D2s, the junior colleges. We even get them out of travel ball.
Right.
I mean, if you go play. Get out there. You're going to be seen. Believe me, in baseball, you're going to be seen. Yeah, maybe an NFL scout, unless a coach call, hey, I got a kid here who can play in the NFL. Come on and see my kid. Baseball, we got scouts all over. You're going to be seen as long as you're playing. You're not going to be sitting the bench.
No.
And if you go to Stanford, you're sitting there on your bench. Your junior year, you're still a bench warmer. You could have been playing in a D3 school. If you're that good, you're going to be seen. You're going to be picked up. Baseball is completely different than those sports. And I understand the kids want to go. They want to be able to be seen. But baseball, and I got a kid. We didn't draft him. Another team drafted him. His dad thanked me because he wanted to go to, I can't remember. It was a Big Ten school.
Right.
And they told me he was going to redshirt him the first year. And I said, no, he ended up going to Wittenberg.
Okay.
All right. And I said, if your family can afford it, now don't get me wrong, the D2 and D3 school is going to cost some money, but they'll give a lot of money on academic scholarships. Yeah. Your kid's a very smart kid. Go somewhere where he's going to play. I'm telling you what. Anyway, this kid went there. He started as a freshman. He went to his junior year at Wittenberg. He got drafted. And last year he got his taste in the majors.
Good.
He would have never seen that going to, I forget what Big Ten school it was. But anyway, he would have never seen that. Go somewhere where you're going to play. You'll be seen. If you're that good, you're going to be seen, believe me, especially in baseball. Now, I understand the NFL, you look at the NFL draft,
SEC,
Stanford,
Big Ten.
You see all these. But go look at the MLB draft.
It's a whole different story.
Eton College,
John
Carroll University, you got high school. Puerto Rico Academy of Baseball.
Yeah.
You're going to be seen. You're going to just play.
Right.
You're going to be seen. And I try to tell these kids that you don't need to, especially in baseball, you don't need to go to that big school.
No.
To be drafted.
And I do understand when I say the name, he was looked at straight out of high school. But Bryce Harper was like the biggest name out of high school since LeBron James as far as athletes go. And he dropped out. I don't know how many people know the story. Him and his dad talked it over. He dropped out of high school, got his GED, and went to a community college locally there in Vegas, where he's from, because they knew he's good enough. Just put him on a team, and they can draft him number 1 overall. The Nationals did the next year. But they were like, why? They said, why wait any longer?
If you're that good, and say you get drafted out of high school, and you get scouts are all over you. You get drafted out of high school, but you get drafted low. We're talking 20th, 30th, 40th round. Now there's no money down there, but you got a chance. You know that you're going to get better. You got a chance your junior year to get drafted higher. You're going to make a lot of money. Go to the junior college. Your CCC up in Cleveland, or the little junior colleges. Go to those.
play 2 years, you become draft eligible. And I had a kid to do that too. And a kid from Highland. He got drafted in the 50th round. They offered him, it was very little money. I said, do you want to play, or do you want to play pro and make a little bit, or go back to college and possibly make millions?
Right.
And he ended up going to Tri-C University up in Cleveland. And he got drafted. He played 2 years there because they're only 2-year schools.
Right.
He got drafted out of Tri-C for, I think, $1.6 million. And they was going to give him like $30,000 in high school. So, think about the junior college, especially baseball players. Think about the junior college. If you're that good and the scouts are all over you and you think you go to the junior college, because I'm going to tell you what, most junior colleges are great colleges, and you get drafted that second year out of college. Now, baseball, we can't draft a kid. Once he starts at college, we can't draft him until his junior year of college.
Right.
So that's why that 2 years are good, But we draft you out of high school. You don't accept the offer. You have to go to college. We can wait till your junior year.
Right.
Unless you your sophomore year you decide to drop out of college, and of course you can sign then if a free
Right.
agency contract. But that don't happen very often. It does happen, but it don't happen very often.
No, but a lot of good points you made there, Bob, about kids coming out and stuff.
But go somewhere you're going to play.
Yeah, go
somewhere you're going to play.
Another quick story, real quick, is I had a family member who was a good goalkeeper. He was a little shorter though. He got a big head about himself because he played so well in high school. So he goes to walk on with the Zips. Now, for people that don't follow college soccer, Zips to soccer is like Ohio State to football. Like, they're a top 5 program. You have to be damn good to step on that field in an Akron Zips uniform. Well, he didn't see the field, okay? And he has said many years later, I wish I would have went to Division 2 or 3 and just played. He says, I wasn't going anywhere out there, but I wish I just played. And he said, instead he sat there, he sulked, he whined. I'm going to leave that personal story out, but his grades weren't good. We'll put it that way. But I'll leave that out. But my point being is he wished he played. So don't be who cares what the as long as you find a coach and a team that fits you and you're going to play, that's a win within itself. You know what I mean?
And you're a high school senior, or high school juniors, excuse me, should be, if you're thinking about going to college, playing college ball, you better start about your junior year looking into schools. Don't be afraid to ask the coach. Coach, if I come to your school, when do you think I'll be able to play?
All right.
Don't be afraid to ask that. And 90% of the coaches will tell you, I got 15 seniors here. They're going to be graduating. You're going to be a freshman, so your sophomore year you should be able to see a lot of action.
Right.
Or, I don't have no seniors on my squad. You can probably come in and start right now. And I have that happen before. I've had parents say that, we're thinking about going here, but they don't play. Well, but we got these other offers. I said, don't be afraid to ask the coaches, when do you think I'm going to see some time, or when I'm going to play. Don't be afraid to ask that, and you'll be surprised that the coaches will tell you. I'm not going to redshirt you, but I can probably get you in some games as your freshman year. Or I got a bunch of seniors coming.
Right.
I'll get you some action your freshman so that you're ready for that sophomore year. Don't be afraid to ask. And most of the coaches are going to tell you. And they're afraid to ask. The coaches kids are afraid to ask the coaches.
I think they're young. Their hesitancy with rejection and whatnot. But it's like, look, you got something to bring to the table. You don't know if you don't try. Worst case scenario, they tell you no.
But you also wanna go to a school that's your major. You want to make sure they have your major, because sports, I don't care what sport it is not guaranteed.
Right.
Get the education.
Exactly. Get a backup plan. You never know what's going to happen, too. So, hey, that's good words from Bob to end the show today. That's what's going to do it for sport. Excuse me. Tencent
Beer night.
Here, I almost said something else that was not related to us, and I could have got into some serious weird. I don't know about trouble, but it'd been weird. But 10 Cent Beer Night here at PolymarCityRecords.com. Thank you, Roger and CJ, for running the show today. We will have our special guest Austin back another time. He did not show up today for good reason, the COVID numbers and whatnot. But we'll announce when that's time. But we'll try to get some more special guests in here today. Once again, Bob, you're always welcome on here.
Remember, Chris Oast, my son-in-law, will be with you next
He'll
week.
be with us next week, and I'll probably talk about that Steelers victory and whatnot. So, but anyway, it is what it is. Thank you guys for watching, and you guys have a great one and be safe. And as always, go Browns, Zips, and Buckeyes.
Good night, everybody.